Now, in recent weeks, I had my timeline on social media inundated by people who support accelerationism. And this is a political concept that if you're a right winger, you should actually vote left. So if you're in Britain, you should vote Labour. If you're in America, you should vote Democrat. With the purpose of creating things that are so bad, like making your nation become so dysfunctional, that eventually people wake up, right? They become woke, and they are going to start voting right wing. Now, as an Eastern European, I gotta have a few words to say about this, even though I know a lot of people get very upset when you talk about this topic, because for some reason it's extremely emotional. I genuinely want to intellectually have a conversation about this without attacking any content creators or giving any names, because I find it fascinating. One of the main reasons I find it fascinating is that no one asks who came up with this concept. Like, who made the claim that accelerationism is actually a good idea? And the first person that actually came up with it is Karl Marx. So Karl Marx argued that capitalism contains contradictions that if you intensify over time, you're eventually going to cause capitalism to self-destruct through its own excesses, and you're basically going to force society into a late-stage capitalism where people are going to unite and they're going to vote socialism. But as you notice, like, Karl Marx wasn't telling people to vote right wing in order to push for capitalism. No, like, it was just a speculation. And as we can see, years later, like, the speculation didn't happen. Nations didn't become communistic because of capitalism. Nations become communistic because Germany funded Lenin during the Russian Revolution, and they used the Russian military in order to create communist nations. Communism happens at the battle of the gun. It doesn't happen because people decide, oh, you know what, we need to become socialist now. In fact, I don't think there's any nations on planet Earth except Sweden that legitimately wanted to embrace communism. I may be wrong though, but in general, it's like the Red Army that pushes for communism, and then China also had its own civil war. But Karl Marx was wrong. Like, he was absolutely wrong. It wasn't accelerationism that created, quote-unquote, late-stage capitalism. Like, America is still one of the most capitalistic nations on Earth. In fact, China is capitalistic, right? Another person that also claimed accelerationism works is a man by the name of Gilles Deleuze. And he's also usually paired in literature with another guy, Félix Guattari. And these individuals, also communists, they flirted with the idea that capitalism deteriorizes everything. So capitalism destroys tradition, identity, structure, and that pushing the process further could open radical possibilities. Finally, I think there's another guy, Nick Land, from the Warwick University, which basically took all of these concepts from Deleuze, from Marx, and threw them into the blender, and he also embraced the idea that right accelerationism is going to unleash AI, and AI is going to create a socialist utopia. So, like, as you can see, like, the people pushing for this accelerationism, they don't really have any evidence of, like, okay, this nation did it and therefore it happened, but it's more like a feelings, like a vibe type of thing. Now, why do I think that accelerationism doesn't work? Well, for the first point is that I don't see it in history. Like, I generally don't see that if a nation votes for dumb shit, that people are going to wake up and they're going to fight against the dumb shit. No, this usually doesn't happen. Like what ends up happening is when people vote for dumb shit, they get dumb shit. Like, the reason that society is the way it is because, well, people consistently have voted for the last 2 decades or so for dumb shit. Like, people have voted for environmentalism. Like, those voters exist. By the way, I can introduce you to a couple, especially in Germany, that voted for the destruction of their nuclear energy. Did people wake up? And no, they destroyed their nuclear energy reactors. People that vote for mass immigration. Like, I can give you names. I know those people, right? Like, did they eventually create right-wing governments that kick them out? Well, I mean, eventually it will happen, but I don't think it will happen because of accelerationism. I think it will happen simply because there's going to be governments that run out of cash. But, like, did they get less migration? Did people vote right-wing? No, like, they voted for mass migration and they got mass migration. Like, people generally get, most of the time, what they vote for. Now, the question is, like, why don't you have the chimp out, right? Like, why don't you have the civil war? This is something that I see on poll a lot. It's like, if you constantly vote left-wing, you will have the chimp out, the civil war. Well, because, like, people take the path of least resistance. So if you have a person that genuinely feels oppressed in his country, do you know what they do? They leave their country. No, seriously, it's called white flight. The left talks about it nonstop. Before that, it was called capitalist flight. That's what you get, right? Like, you get the multiculturalism in a place that, let's say, has stronger hate speech laws, starts persecuting the people to fall in line. You notice government corruption everywhere, taxes go up. People just leave. Most people, right? Statistically speaking, the people that can afford it, they live, especially in places like the United States. Oh, your state becomes California? Okay, well, they go to Texas. You can literally notice this. Like, there's a pattern. And so, the reason the chip out doesn't happen is because, well, people just fuck off. And the Soviet Union noticed this, so they put a wall. They put a wall between East Berlin and West Berlin to prevent the people from leaving. Because the government actually needs those people in order to oppress people, right? Like, you can't grift without people. And in order to oppress people, it's expensive. Like, you need to hire a secret police force. In modern day, you need CCTV cameras, you need AI, you need all this shit, which costs money. The government doesn't produce money, it needs to exploit. And so if people are leaving, it collapses the system. Now, you can say, well, yeah, but like accelerationism is going to cause more people from leaving. They're not leaving enough, though. Right? You have like enough people leaving, so the chimp out doesn't happen. But at the same time, you don't have enough people, so the government collapses. So you're in this situation. And if you make it even worse, here's the thing. If you do get a chimp out, in 2025, we are at a point in human history that no nation has ever been before. What I mean by this is that never in the history of Europe or the United States could the government know who the rebellion leaders are before they even step out of their house. So you have mobile phones with geoposition. You got social media accounts where AI just surveil everything people talk on. And so when you do have a chimp out, the government just allows it to happen for the first day. And then they just go to the house of the leaders of the protest and they arrest them during the middle of the night. And this is a Chinese tactic that's extremely effective. It's why China manages to still hold through that authoritarianism. And it's also what happened in the UK. And what also happened with the trucker protest. And they can also freeze bank accounts. They can freeze public transport. I mean, in the UK, they were bragging about the fact that there's CCTVs at every single bus station. And so if people try to mobilize and do the chip out, well, they immediately get caught. Now, if you want the grand chimp out, right, like the Tim Pool civil war that never comes, right, like the grand chimp out. Well, the grand chimp out usually doesn't happen without international funding, without having the middle class being caught in a power struggle. And I don't think that in the United States, for instance, you see many governors actually wanting to secede from the Fed. I mean, yeah, they're kind of flirting with the idea in some cases for PR purposes, but in reality, no. I don't think that you're going to see any governor wanting to leave the union. Because that's what's required for the grand chimp out, the civil pool. But, yeah, so the problem with accelerationism, people leave if things go bad, especially in 2025, right? Nationalism works in a world where you don't have airplanes and where traveling is very difficult. But in a world where people have the internet, where you can arrange for yourself to get a job in another country before you even arrived in that country, where everyone actually speaks English as an international language, and where you can fuck off, most people will fuck off, statistically speaking. This is why I generally don't believe it. And if it worked, you would see the left, right? Like you would see people like Vosh or Destiny go like, oh shit, the right has figured it out. They want accelerationism. Well, we need to now vote right wing, so we decelerate. Right? You see Vosh, it's like we need to stop the accelerationism on the right because they're voting left. We need to now start voting right to decelerate because we don't want, right? But no one does that. Why? Because it's a retarded theory. It was claimed by Karl Marx. It wasn't made true. It wasn't true then. It's not true now. It's never going to be true. Now, of course, this is another thing where people prophesy something, and then when that thing happens for other reasons, they go, look, I understand in the UK, like, because Labour won the elections, and so you now have like these massive voting bloc that wants to vote reform that UK, and you have the youth that are tired of the word racism. First of all, like the youth changing culture, this is called the cultural gap. Like it always happens. And if you look at history, you will notice that it comes in wave, regardless of accelerationism or deceleration or whatever. Even if things are good, the new generation usually is the opposite, right? So like you have the Bush era, which comes after the Clinton era, and after the Bush era you have the Obama era, and now you have like the Trump and so on and so forth, right? Like the new generation is just usually culturally opposite to the previous one. So it's not because like people voted Labor or people voted Democrat. It's simply the fact that the taboos that exist now are most likely not going to exist in the future, and the taboos that exist in the future are not going to exist when a new generation rises. And secondly, the UK is also a special system. You don't really have democracy in the UK. I mean, people go to vote and shit, but most of the people making the decisions are the civil service. And in the UK, you also have a two-party system that are the same party. And eventually, any system is going to collapse. Systems are created by human beings. Human beings are mortal. They cannot create immortal systems. Even if you have like a nation like Egypt, and it maintains the name through time, the system that creates that nation mutates so significantly that by now, the Egypt we have now is completely different than the Egypt that existed 300 years ago, right? And so it's the same thing with the UK. Like eventually it collapses, and it also collapses because there's no more money to pump into the system. Like the NHS is just requiring more and more money. People are getting taxed more and more. And the collapse doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get your way. Like the collapse can also mean that you'll still pay high taxes. You're just not going to get the NHS treatment. You're just not going to get the benefits. And you can see this happening in Germany already with the welfare. They're basically talking about the pensions being pushed backwards. So like instead of getting retired at 65, they now want to get people retired at 70. I wouldn't be surprised in 10 years if it's not get them retired at 90 so that we don't have to pay them at all, right? But again, it's a political philosophy that I just find it childish and immature. It's like things go bad. So, but here's the problem, right? The main issue is like who's supporting the system, and there may be people that generally don't care about politics at all. Like they will never go vote. Or if they do vote, they vote based on how their parents voted. But there are people that benefit from the system, right? So like when you're saying, oh, well, immigration is bad. Sure, but like the people that work for the government, the postal office, the police, the judges, the lawyers, well, the lawyers not so much, but the NGOs, right? Like all these people that work directly for the government will support the system because they are financially tied to it. Like the government pays them. So like you'll never convince those people, no matter how bad things go, they will always vote that way. And then you also have individuals that are in the private sector and they're profiting. So like the hotel owners that get a lot of immigrants in their hotel. Like for them, no amount of persuasion or like trying to say that it's bad will convince them. So yeah, I don't know. I do believe in primaries. I do believe in infiltrating political parties in order to get your ideology in. I do believe in having dinners with politicians, crowdfunding, door-to-door knocking. Like these things actually matter. You know, changing at the local level, like trying to change the schools, putting pressures on corporations in order to promote your ideology or to stop promoting the opposing ideology. These things actually work. And those things are actually good. But the idea, it's like, yeah, we need to vote Labor in order to stop having immigration. In my opinion, it's an interesting take. Let me know what you guys think, though. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.